What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Next Level Teaching. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, here with my super dope co-hostess with the mostest, Miss Tori Rodriguez. T-Rob, how you feeling?
I'm still laughing at this.
Oh, yeah, top it.
Next Level Teaching.
All of
He
that.
traps. So if you're listening, you don't get to see it. You need to go hop on YouTube just to watch
right.
Jay.
Oh, it's an experience.
He chops.
Yes.
Every single time he says Next Level Teaching.
I don't know why I be feeling that. I wish I felt like I could have the words pop up.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, like next level. Anyway, let's go. Today's gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited.
It's going to be so good.
Yes.
I'm super excited to have some middle school in the building
go.
with me.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
We have Nicole Marte here with us, and I'm super excited. I'm not going to call you Marty, and it's not going to happen.
Right. Nicole Marte.
Her husband's Puerto Rican, and I have to just stick with it. Well,
Yes.
and I was talking to my student teacher about that yesterday, about how important it is to respect people's names because it's their identity and who they are. Mm-hmm. And we watched the video that Uzamaka. Yes, you do know who she is. She was on Orange is the New Black. She was Crazy Eyes on Orange is the New Black. She's a really famous actress.
Okay. I never saw the show, but gotcha. I'm going with you. Go
and
ahead.
she, if you haven't watched it, you guys, it's so good. There's I don't know, there's a video of her speaking at some sort of engagement, and she talks about her name and how she asks her mom one day, because people are like Uzamaka, like Uzamaka, like they can't say her name correctly. And so she goes up to her mom one day and she said, "Mom, can you just call me Zoe?" No, and I cried. I was showing it to my student teacher yesterday, and I cried because it's your name.
Yeah, it's your name. Got it.
It's your name. So, sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
That was a good tangent.
Yes. Let me reel it back. Obviously, I'm not medicated today.
I
My
got you.
bad. Let me reel it back in. Jay, before we really hop in, which I already have, my bad.
Oh, yeah, no, you're good.
Why don't you let everyone know who we are here at Next Level?
Y'all see, we like to have a good time. We like to have fun. We like to share our hearts. We want you to laugh, learn, and live your best life.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And that we're already laughing, and you learn something.
Yeah.
Because Tori just gave your whole masterclass, own your name. That was powerful.
Yeah.
Like, own your name. Don't shy away from it. You know what I'm saying? And so we're excited to have Nicole on. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yes.
So, 5th year teaching? Middle school science.
Yes.
6th grade.
6th grade.
Yes. Which is earth science.
Yes. Earth and space science.
Which is super fun kind of stuff to do, honestly.
It is.
I feel like there's a lot of like hands-on stuff that can be done with it. You know, you've got all the rocks and
There's no Pythagorean theory in there, though.
no.
Nope.
I can't
He
do the
hates
math
that
stuff.
thing.
I can't do it.
He hates that thing. And then you said you started actually as a long-term sub and just kind of stuck with it. So tell us about that. Tell us how, like when you knew you wanted to start teaching and kind of how you got into it. Because here at Next Level, we say that you have to be called and you have to be a little crazy.
A little cuckoo. This is a call, for sure.
So tell us how you got to that place in your life where you realized you were crazy.
Right. So when I got to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And so my first 2 years were undecided. And I was really struggling with that because a lot of people like knew exactly what they wanted to do. Knew what they wanted to do since they were young. And I was like, I have no idea. And so I remember actually one night talking to Manny, my husband, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. I was really stressed out, like crying. I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, well, let's just take school out of it. Like, what is your passion? What do you like doing? I'm like, well, I like helping people. I was always a youth leader in the youth group, and I liked helping girls and just like talking with them, being there for them. I don't know, I guess I like helping people. And so we landed on the degree of psychology. And so I got my degree in psychology thinking I wanted to be a counselor.
Right.
So I actually was an assistant in a counseling office, and
In a school or something
nope,
separate?
just
Okay.
a separate
Okay.
counseling office. And I realized I didn't like the office setting, and I needed to be around more people. Now, if I were the counselor, I would be, but it was different, and it's not what I expected. So we ended up moving out to Georgia, and I was like, well, I need to get a new job anyway. And one of my friends suggested subbing. I'm like, first of all, I know how subs are treated. I don't know if I want to do that. But
I personally was brutal for subs. If I came in and you were a sub, I was like, oh, it's going down.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. So I'm sorry in advance.
Right. So I was like, I don't know, but nothing really was coming up job-wise. I'm like, I'll just do it. So I picked up a lot of elementary jobs because I thought, oh, they're younger.
That'll be a little easier.
Yeah.
False.
No.
It's like hurting cats.
And I had like no compassion over the like pointless tears. I'm like, why are you crying? And they're like,
pick yourself up.
right,
Yes.
And I'm
Wipe
just
those
like,
tears away.
I can't do this. I can't do this.
No harm, no blood, no foul.
Right.
You're not gonna die.
That's what I say. Are you bleeding? Are you throwing up?
Yeah.
No, then put your
Pull it up
hand
a little
down.
bit.
Yeah. So I realized, okay, elementary is not for me.
Yeah.
So I started picking up some middle school jobs, and I'm like, I kind of like this. They're at a point where they're young enough where they want to have a relationship with the teacher, but they're old enough where I can joke with them, and they're a little
You don't have to hold their hand.
more mature. Right.
And yeah.
So I ended up picking up a 2-day sub assignment at the school I'm at now. And long story short, the teacher never ended up coming back.
Oh wow.
And that's the same position I'm in today.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a total God thing because I didn't even have my certification in teaching.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of people were like, well, in this county, you might have a hard time getting a job. Just kind of like
Facts.
like scaring me. And I landed this job, and I ended up, getting my certification, doing all the testing I needed to do, and they hired me before that year was over to come on the next year.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely a God thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, nobody's hiring. So just imagine this for a second. Just imagine this. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it's one person here, nobody's hiring. I can't find a position. This is so weird. And then somebody else offers. Mm-hmm. That person could have been like, do something else, but they just happen to say, hey, how about you think about subbing? So you've got that scenario. But at the same time, there was a need that you had to fill. So no telling what was going on in that person's world, whether they got stressed out or whether somebody got sick or their loved ones moved, like whatever. But it was temporary, but it ended up being permanent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I ended up loving it. So this is exactly what I wanted to do, and I didn't even know it.
Wow.
Wow.
And the fact that you've also stayed at that school, because you could have gotten a job in the county and then after a few years decided to transfer to another school. So you must really love the school that you're at, the type of kids that you're working with.
Yeah, I especially love my team. Like, I got so lucky with my teammates. We're like best friends.
Yeah.
We talk every day. We hang out outside of school.
Yep.
And the whole school kind of knows that we're that team, that we're so close. Like, dress up days, we're always matching outfits. Or like we find any reason. We're like, we're like texting each other, let's wear a matching shirt on Friday.
Yes.
Like, for no reason.
Right.
Yes. We made shirts, the school that Ryan and I worked at together, my last year, the team I was on, we called ourselves the Dream Team. And we legit made shirts that said the Dream Team on them. And I actually next year am going to be, I've transferred schools and I'm going to be back with one of those teachers.
Aww.
So we're joining part of the Dream Team back together. And I'm so excited about that. And it's stick with it, stay with it, because we all ended up kind of going our separate ways. And now notice we're trying to find our way back together.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I can't imagine not working with them.
Yeah.
But I know that day's going to come.
I know.
Wow. So tell us about, so there are different people listen to our podcast for different reasons, right? Some educators come on, they like the personality, they're in love with Tori, right? Style, the funniness, the quirkiness. We just have a good time. We just being real, raw, honest, right? But then there are some people that's like, man, there's specific things I need to get. But then some people are like, man, I'm getting my butts kicked. I need some motivation. They might have heard from me from speaking at a convocation or a training or something like that and knew I have a podcast. So what could you share to let other educators know I get it? Like, can you tell us about that student that like drove you crazy? And then kind of how things end up working out. Like, do you have one of those stories or situations you can tell us? Maybe the top of the year, it was just like, okay, you a little hellion. And it's like, now y'all are best friends, like something like that.
I did. Well, I have a lot of those stories.
I think especially in middle school, we have plenty of those.
Middle school. And there's always that class,
Yes. Third period this year.
Same.
17 boys and 3 girls.
Oh, wow.
Mine there's so many
in-person
big
too.
personalities, and that's always the issue. And I love it. It's so funny. They're usually one of my favorite classes.
But they're the hardest to handle.
Yep.
Yes.
And-
because they take you off track, because you love them. Yes.
It is so
funny.
hard. But man, I'm thinking of this one student in particular last year, and kind of a student that gave every teacher a little bit of a hard time. And I try and go in it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and make relationships with these kids no matter what. Like, relationships are key. And so I was trying so hard and just not getting through. I mean, it was just like disrespect after disrespect, and just really hard to build that relationship. And I don't know, I just felt like it was like tainting the whole class as well.
Right.
And I honestly just kept like loving that student and trying to have talks with them, like pulling them outside and being like, look, what's going on? Like, I don't know what this behavior is coming from. Like, is something happening? You want to talk to me? What's going on? And I try to always end it with, hey, like, I like having you in my class. Like, I see you're a good student. And so I want you to know, like, I'm on your side. I'm on your team. But I do have to make sure, like, my classroom runs smoothly. So I don't know. It just seemed like, honestly, in the middle of the year, it was like a switch.
Wow.
And it was like this student just like always came to me for like different issues and was like, you're my favorite teacher. And I was like, hold up.
Wait, what? Yes, it's the best.
And they actually like would come back down and visit me. And like this year came back and visited me, and they even they're like, yeah, I stopped at the gas station in the morning and I just picked you up this Kit Kat bar. I was just like,
wow.
Okay, awesome. I love Kit Kats. But yeah, it's just
good.
I don't know. I think that's the most rewarding thing about teaching is to see like a student just finally come around.
Yep. And what's interesting is it started off, you said just rough, like just, and it's like you just stay consistent.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of educators, I imagine, struggle. It's just like, okay, I'm here. It's like but you just stay consistent. It's just like one day it was just like, you're my favorite teacher, right?
Yeah.
Because that relationship, that connection. Whenever I'm in a school speaking, I talk to students, I'm like, hey, who's your favorite teacher? I never hear, oh, Miss Rodriguez because the way she does her curriculum or the way she does her lesson plan. It's always like, man, I like Miss Rodriguez because I know she likes me or she gets me or she's cool. It's that connection.
Yep.
And so that's good. So to all the teachers out there, like, hang in there. You might get you a Kit Kat bar one day.
I know. Well,
you might get you a Twix.
And I also want to say hang in there because I know that we're just, we're so close yet so far from spring break.
Yes.
So close yet so far. And especially this year, I feel like there's so many of us that are just like, oh, is it over yet? Just because it's been such a long, hard year, because for a lot of us, we're doing both. We're teaching online and face-to-face. So you feel like you're teaching 2 years in 1 year and it's like, oh, are we done yet? Yeah. You're almost there. You are almost to spring break.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That's good.
And so I want to know what keeps you going every day. Like what reminds you, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And, when you have a hard day and they do drive you a little nuts.
Yeah.
How do you keep going?
I think it always goes back to, I have to remember my why. Like, why did I get into teaching? And that has always been the students. So even when there's craziness going on with administration or just the policies we have to abide by, the testing, the grading, and this crazy pandemic.
Yes.
I really have to make myself step back and remind myself that I'm here for these students, and that we can really make a lasting impact on them, and that they really have so much stuff going on that we might never know about. Like I recently was in a meeting and they're like, he lost his mom and his brother recently. And I'm like, what? I had no idea, you know? And so I just think back to that. And lately I've been thinking about like seasons. Like we go through different seasons. And I feel like as humans, we're always quick to want to be in the season that we're not currently in. And I remember
That hit me
when
too. They hit you. They hit me.
I remember when pre-pandemic, I was like, man, I want a break. Like, you know, being in school with all these kids. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's exhausting. Like, it would be nice to work from home, you know?
Right.
Yep. And now we work from home, and I'm like,
So this is your fault.
All of it. The whole pandemic,
pandemic.
all on you,
Right.
Nicole.
yeah, it's my fault. But then now I'm like, you know, what I was kind of like longing for in that season is like what I'm missing in this season.
Yeah.
And so like now when we were, you know, at home, like, I can't wait to be back in the classroom. I can't wait to have all these kids again and to have that chaos in the room. And so I think, you know, we got to look at the season and, you know, there's always a beauty and a burden in the season. And we got to like fix our perspective on what are we going to focus on. And I just think that's been really important for me right now, because if I'm not careful, I'm always going to be longing for the season that's coming next. And then we're going to miss like
Where you're at.
the beauty and the change we can make in this season.
So being present in the now.
In the present.
Yeah, and realizing that whatever is to come, the now is preparing you for that. That takes some serious discipline, though. There are some people that's here, they're like, yeah, easier said than done.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's just like,
Sure.
but I think that's profound. Just stay in this space. It's going to come. Like, but let's not rush it. Just embrace it. It's almost like how parents be like, oh, my kids are going to college. It seems like you were just learning to walk. I'm like, that was 15, 16 years ago, 18 years ago, whatever. But it's like just being present, like in that moment.
Yeah.
Especially when things are not ideal.
Yeah. That's, I think, the hardest part about it.
Yeah.
And if the pandemic has taught me anything, it's like to slow down. Because I think I've always one who's just like, okay, let's go to the next thing. Let's fill our schedule and like go. And now like.
What's your Enneagram number?
I'm a 3.
Really? You sound like a 7.
Okay. At first I thought I was a 7.
See, because I'm a 7.
Okay.
And that's why. Okay. Sorry.
But yeah, and I just think this pandemic has forced me to slow down and be like, okay, let's feel these feelings. And I tend to just kind of like push them to the side. But yeah, I mean, that's something that the pandemic has taught me, is to slow down.
What has it taught you as an educator?
Yeah. Or what have you learned about yourself? So either one of those two, as an educator, this is going to be good.
Probably I'm not as patient as I thought. Also that like, I don't know, we really don't have as much control as I thought we had.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's really taught me like what really matters in education, because we could get bogged down with all the extra stuff. But again, it's brought me back to, okay, students will never change. Like we'll be out of a job if there's no students.
Yeah.
Right.
So really that's what I need to focus on, and that relationships are still the most important no matter what season we're in, and maybe especially in this season.
Yep, absolutely.
They're the most important. So yeah, I guess it's really just taught me to go back to my why, really.
Yeah, or else you will. Yeah, you'll lose it if not. Yeah, for sure. What would you? Are you virtual, in person, a little bit of both?
At the same time, so I'm doing the
Concurrent,
same
yeah.
thing, teaching in person and digital kids at the same time.
How's that going?
Not good.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's just too much, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's, I can't give
100%.
all of me to one or the other.
Yep.
So yeah,
exactly how I
it's
feel.
been really difficult.
Yeah, I already had. I didn't think I could have more respect for Tori, but my respect for her went through the roof. She was here teaching virtually one day, and I was just over here doing some work, and she was in there by the pool table just kind of doing her thing. And then I heard her say, "Stop, Matthew, sit down." And then she's like checking
My
another
kids were
student.
still in the classroom.
Yeah,
I
she's
had to
checking
be out.
another one virtually, but then another one there in person.
Yep.
It was like, you should be back by now. And I was like, wow, she is like managing both of those things. Like, I was really, really impressed. And she was like fussing, but it was like a love. It was like the mama fussing.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay. And I was just like, wow, like, this is different here.
Yeah.
And so,
It is.
but I imagine it's not, I imagine, say how challenging it is, because that's not the world that I'm in. So when I'm standing before the teachers, you want me to tell you something? I shared a moment that we had with a group of educators, and they were bawling.
What?
Remember when we did the teacher video,
Yeah.
The Gift That Keeps On Giving? So I'm in this school, right? We've got this school. Ryan's our producer. He's super connected, right?
Beautiful.
So he opens up this school, and we're there filming. Michael's there, we're filming, and I'm basically, it's like a Christmas tribute video. So I'm telling all these teachers, I'm highlighting all these different teachers across the country. Some are carrying food from door to door. Some are after school. Some are like teaching through the screen doors. Some are turning their kitchen into a chemistry lab. So I'm highlighting those teachers, but I'm encouraging all teachers, like, you all are amazing because look at the things you do. And Tori's sitting here and she's just like, she's struggling. You know what I'm saying? So we take a moment, we cut, and I'm like, Tori's like, Jay, I don't feel it. Like, I don't feel that connection. She's like,
Because I'm not that teacher right now.
Yeah.
right. She's like, I'm getting my butt kicked. Like, this thing is not easy, and I just don't feel motivated. So she was like, can you please put something in there for an educator like me that's just holding on and doing the best she can for every day, that's just happy to just be able to show up.
Yep.
And that thing hit me. I got the camera on, so I'm sharing this whole thing I'm sharing with y'all during a virtual presentation with a PD with a school. And I'm like, and I said, when Tori said that, I said, and that was a shameless plug for the podcast too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, y'all gotta check out the podcast because
Right.
Tori's amazing. But when I said that, I told them, I said, I had them cut the cameras back on. And I was like, for those of you all that feel like you're not amazing because you're not teaching through a screen door after school, you're not cooking and dropping off 50 meals per day after school, you're not turning your kitchen into a chemistry lab, like, you're still amazing. You're still the gift that keeps on giving because you show up, because you didn't retreat, because you didn't surrender. You're still giving the absolute best you can. Like, that right there is next level teaching. And so I just had to highlight that because you showed me that. Like, hey, it might not be all these other things, but the fact that I'm still showing up in the midst of all the different things that we're struggling with. And now we're like, we got these kids virtually, we've got these kids in person, but it's heavy. And so many educators resonate with that. And that's when they began to cut their cameras off because, most people don't want to be seen crying. And I start seeing boxes just go black for a second, and they come back, and I'm like, oh, your eyes are red, your eyes are red. But they connected with that human part. Like, okay, Jay, there are some people going on some next level stuff, but what about the ones that's just doing the best you can with those students, those that's going through counseling, those that are struggling with their own mental health, those are just trying to just be able to show up for these kids. And that was the perspective I needed to be able to share that message. So just kind of just thinking about that now as we're talking.
And I think that the important part, I'm going to try not to cry as I say this, is to realize that you are still next level.
Yes.
Even if you're not doing those things right now.
Yes.
You are still next level just for the fact that you are still teaching in the midst of this pandemic.
Yes.
Because this is the hardest year that education has ever seen.
down.
And I don't think that people truly understand it unless you're an educator. I love my father, but I'm like, Dad, he's like, I get it. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Right.
You don't.
You think you do, but you have, and I lived with him in the spring. So he saw me and heard me and watched me 24/7. I would sit in the living room and create lessons, and then I would go to my room and teach virtually online with my kids for a little while. And so, he even would wave in the camera and say hey to my kids and stuff, but he didn't see what we're doing right now, which I think is even harder than what we did in the spring.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important message because a lot of teachers, I think, are in that boat right now.
Yeah.
Just talking to teammates and teachers in the school, we're so exhausted. And we're at a point where we're like, I don't know if I have much left to give.
Done with the school year.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're just talking recently, like we feel like we're far enough in that we should be at a point where we're like, okay, we're more comfortable with this. We got it more down with the technology. And yeah, we've learned more about technology and all that, but we still feel like, yeah, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Like
it's still just too much. And like you said, you feel like you can't give all to one or the other. That's what I keep saying. I feel like I'm giving 50% online and 50% in person. And how do we expect our kids to be successful if we can't? I mean, like we're trying to give 100%, but 100% only goes to 100%.
Right.
Math teacher over here. Hello. And you're asking us to divide our 100% into two places, which means that they're only going to get 50% from us.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to them and it's not fair to us. I feel like to a certain extent, and I hate to be negative like this, but sometimes I feel like I've been set up for a letdown.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been set up to lose. And so I just have to remind myself, even if I feel like I'm losing, I'm still doing the best that I can.
it.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you said you have to remind yourself. Like David was told to encourage yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, who encourages the encourager? Who motivates the motivator? There's times I'll be feeling a certain type of way, and I feel like God be saying, you encourage yourself. You motivate yourself.
Yeah.
You remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I'm saying? Because we can get in our heads, and so it's like, nope, let me take these thoughts captive.
Yep.
Let me think of whatever's
Yes.
true, whatever's pure, whatever's holy, whatever's kind, like,
Yep.
as opposed to just going all these different places. And so I think that's something that probably helps a lot of people when it comes to mental health too.
Yeah.
It's just really controlling those thoughts and saying, let me focus on that positive aspect. But you're 100% right. I forgot. I don't think have I ever shared that with you? What I shared? Like how I shared that?
No, I didn't know that you had shared that.
I've shared it. Actually, I've shared it like 3 times. But this last time, they
But
were
I
like,
love that.
broke down.
But I love that it is still encouraging other people.
That was such a powerful moment. I felt so dumb too. I was like, I'm sitting here encouraged. It never dawned on me like all these people, all these educators should be like, psh, well, I'm not dropping off meals,
Right.
and I'm not teaching through a screen door after school. Like I'm barely trying to hold on. So when you said that, that was such a God thing that you were there for that. Yeah.
Well, and I hate to say it, and it's nothing against you, Jay, at all, but it's exactly what I just said. Like you are around educators 24/7, but it truly is that. Like if you're not an educator,
different
you
when you're
really
in
don't
it.
get it.
Yep.
And I hate to say that. It sounds so rude, like you're not part of the club,
Right.
but you don't want to be part of this club. I mean, like,
Right. We know
like
what you
teachers
mean.
a great club, but
Right.
like this particular
right,
moment, it
right.
is a little rough.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a reminder that other people need to hear.
Yep. That's why I share it. And when I share it, that connection was so rich.
Yeah.
Talking about connections, educators are connecting with you. I
Yeah.
went to your Instagram, was like, okay.
Yeah.
She's
I
got
saw
a
that too.
strong
I was like,
following. Influencer here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
How you get all
Instagram
those
superstar.
followers?
Oh my goodness.
Where did all
That's
this
so
come
funny.
from?
Let me check and see if Dr. Jill Biden is following.
Yeah,
You.
for real.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, let me talk to her about the teacher salary.
Facts.
Honestly, I made an account because I wanted to follow other educators to get inspired and to just learn from them, because I had my personal account and I started following all these teachers. And then I started kind of sharing on my personal account what I was doing in the classroom. And I thought, maybe not everyone wants to know the ins and outs of teaching, you
Right.
know, and so I decided to make my own page. And this was my first year, so I was like, I'm trying to learn from others.
Yeah.
And I just made some good connections on there with different people, and, you know, they kind of like shouted me out or shouted them out, and it just started growing from there, and it was never my intent. And I know, like, I feel like everyone says that, but it really wasn't my intent to like set out and to like get all these followers, because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, this is my first year, so let me learn from other people. And so I just built those connections. And through that, I feel like people just kind of started following along. I kept posting about what I'm doing in the classroom. And it just kind of built from there. And it just kind of blew my mind. I'm like, why are all these people following me? But I don't know. I just kind of try to be real with my experiences, what's going on. And it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of happened.
It just kind of grew.
Yeah, it just kind of grew that way. And I know that's like probably not what people wanted to hear, but I mean, like,
but you know what they're hearing is that you're being organic. You were looking to first get some insight and understanding.
You were looking to learn.
Yeah. I mean, I told Ryan, I said, dude, this podcast, imagine how much more I'm going to learn.
Yes.
From being able to sit and interview different extraordinary educators.
That is what I have said. I feel like I have learned so much, and we haven't even been at this for a full year yet.
Right.
And I feel like I have learned so much. I mean, we've talked about the fact that I've grown such a voice this past year. I am not afraid to speak up against, honestly, against administration a lot of the time on this is not working. This is how teachers are feeling. And I've become like the advocate.
She holds them accountable.
I have become the advocate for my grade level, my teammates, my curriculum group at my school.
Yep. And it comes from that place of
came here.
Yep, you speaking your truth. You're looking to get some knowledge, build some connections, and then you're adding value. I imagine you've been consistent with your posts and your activity, and that's what comes.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
that was
rich.
fun.
Yeah. So speaking of that, like if you could change one thing about the educational system, where we like to always ask specific questions, like what would that one thing be?
This is a hard question, but honestly, I think it would just be the support. And I don't know if I'm like cheating by doing that because that like encompasses a lot, but like support from everyone, like support from the administrators, support from parents, support from the students, support from, other teachers in the building, support from above, like support from all levels because I feel like this year teachers have felt very underappreciated and undervalued, and you can feel it in the school. It feels different.
It does.
And the motivation is down, the creativity is down, and it's ultimately affecting the students.
Yeah.
So it starts with, I feel like if the teachers felt appreciated, if they got what they needed, resources, just even appreciation, like I feel like people don't realize how much teachers just love when someone like notices their efforts.
Right.
Yes.
Even if it's just a note or someone saying it verbally.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if teachers felt empowered, I'd be like, we could change the world. Like it would affect everyone involved.
That kind of aligns up with one of the things I would change if I could only do one is I would make sure that every classroom has like a counselor or social worker to really connect with the hearts of those kids. Because imagine when you're trying to teach, but some kid's world is crumbling or having these emotional issues or the behavior, it starts from that place. And so I like that. That's good.
Well, and I like what you said about how teachers just want to be appreciated and be told, hey, I see that you're doing something awesome with this. We had a teacher that we talked to recently that said that at her school, they have started their professional developments that way. As in, hey, I see that you're doing really great with making connections with kids. Can you, on our day that we're going to have all of our professional development, can you just talk about that for 10 minutes on how you're really engaging with your students on that and how that's working for you right now in the midst of teaching digitally? Hey, I see that you're doing really great with coming up with fun and innovative lessons, or I see that you're really great at coming up with like funny songs or things like that. You know what I mean? And so the professional development is coming from other teachers. And so that means that administration is actually noticing and calling out teachers for what they're good at.
Yeah.
That right there would mean the world to me.
Oh, yeah.
You have to feel noticed and to be able to add value. And then you can learn from those who are right there in the mix, as opposed to someone on the outside that hasn't been in the classroom for 10, 20 years or so.
Well, and I'll just say it was not funny, but you have to laugh at it to keep from getting frustrated. Our principal sent an email recently, and it was like something that she had seen or found, and she was like it was like an either or type thing. Like, if you could have this or this, what would you choose? And she was like, and I think this would be a fun way to engage kids. And I replied to one of my coworkers that is like my work best friend. And I was like, oh, like you haven't been using this for the past 5 years.
Oh,
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it was just one of those things where like, ooh, why does my principal not know that this is a regular
right.
in my coworker's classroom?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you want to point those things out, then like
Yeah.
be in the classroom and see that. And then like the other teacher that, you know, we talked to said, have a professional development. That's real quick. Like everyone gets a quick 5-minute slide
Yeah.
on what they're doing. That's great. I thought that was such a beautiful idea to really just recognize and amplify what teachers are doing, especially in this year when we're struggling, but we're trying to do new things. We're trying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think teachers are always like getting talked to about like what we need to be doing different, or maybe like, okay, maybe we need to try this instead. You know, we hear, oh, we're here to support you. We're here to support you. Now we need you to do all this list of things on top of what you're already doing. And it's like, well, can you at least notice something good that I'm doing, you know, and maybe I would be more motivated to do that list of things, you know, if I felt seen in what I was doing already. So that's a good message.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us, where do you see yourself going in the future? Are you looking at maybe administrative roles, or you're like, man, I'm just in this present moment, I'm enjoying this space, or any thoughts of the future, or?
So I always said that I wanted to stay in the classroom. I didn't have any, you know, I don't know. To like maybe go out somewhere else. I don't know. Recently, I don't know. I've been kind of thinking about it because I see like how much administration affects teachers. So it's a thought that I don't know. I haven't even like said out loud till now. So it might be something. It also might be something that I want to teach older kids. But right now I am content with where I am, and I don't see me leaving anytime soon. But you know, anything could change.
Yep, for sure.
But the one big thing is I want to stay with my team as long as I can.
I love it.
Do it.
What would you tell
we'll
them
see.
first year?
That's what I was. Can you stop?
Sorry, let me get out your head.
I would really appreciate that.
Get out of there. Go for it.
So if you could give advice, golly, man. If you could give advice to one first-year teacher, especially with the fact, you know, you're on year 5. Usually year 5 is like the deal breaker for a lot of teachers. Most teachers that are going to leave are going to, you know, leave within the first 5 years. So first-year teachers, especially, bless their hearts, first-year teachers in the midst of this, what advice would you give them?
I think I would say, well, one, relationships are everything. I feel like everyone hears that, you know, but it's true. I mean, relationships are everything. I feel like your life will be a lot easier. It'll be a lot more fun if you build those relationships with the students. And to not take things personal, which is so hard because even in the beginning years, I look back and I'm like, oh, I took that really personal. And I probably reacted a little too strongly there. But it's so hard when you like love these students so much.
That's what I say.
And then, I mean, I recently had a conversation with a kid that I'm like, why are you taking this out on me right now? Like, really, can we talk about that? What's going on? Because I was like, do I not sit here every day and help you? And they finally were like, yeah, you do. I'm like, yeah, I do. And I don't have to do that. And then they finally just kind of like had this realization of like, okay, yeah, you are working for me. But for me, it's been like, remember, don't take it personal. And to not be quick to like anger or to like react in a strong way, which is easier said than done. But also I think one big thing is comparison. And so if you go into teaching and you just go ahead and start comparing yourself to other teachers at the school, to people on social media, I just think that will like diminish your passion so quick. And so to just stay in your lane, do what you can, build those relationships, don't take it personal, and it's gonna get better.
I love it. I love it.
So good.
Come on and talk to him.
All right.
Yep, you ready?
Time for the lightning
Lightning round.
I'm nervous.
All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we
All
got.
right, 60 seconds on the clock, please.
60 seconds are here.
And
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
all right, texting or talking?
Oh, talking.
Favorite day of the week?
Saturday.
Fill in the blank. Beyonce is.
Queen.
I feel like that's what we usually hear. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Oh, oh gosh. I don't know. Maybe, maybe when I was in high school. Is that weird?
There
No,
we go.
that's good. Have you ever slapped someone in the face?
Yes.
Okay.
What's your favorite carnival food?
Fried Oreos.
Oh. If you're really hungry, would you ever eat a bug?
No.
What's for dinner tonight?
Takeout.
Facts. Uber Eats. Uber Eats in the house.
That's
Yes.
You gotta love it.
Not the
Yes.
cook.
No, you're not the cook in the house. He is.
Neither of us. We get by.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I was gonna say no picadillo, no, nothing.
He's like, none of that.
I feel like he can if he wanted to.
oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm Italian and I didn't get those cooking traits. My grandma got it. My mom didn't get it, so she didn't
Right.
pass it down. So
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why we have DoorDash and Uber Eats.
Right.
And we got to support them.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
we're
we
supporting.
appreciate you supporting our audience. Thank
Yeah.
you for hanging out with us. This has been
Thanks for
great.
having me.
It's been a great time. We
Yes.
really appreciate
really fun.
Appreciate having you on. Thank you for stepping in for your kids. Thank
And
you for
staying.
Yes, and yes,
How
and
you
sticking
did
it
that.
through even through a difficult year because it
Thank you.
definitely has been. Bless you for sticking with it with the online and the face to face.
Yeah.
You too.
I feel you with it.
Yep.
And thank you guys for sticking with us
Yes.
for another week. And I hope that you guys have really enjoyed it.
Yeah, yep. And we want to make sure that they follow you.
Yes.
So your Instagram.
It's at Marty in the middle.
Marty in the middle.
Marty in the middle.
Yes.
MARTE.
MARTE in the middle. Yep.
So
Follow
cute.
her Instagram. Connect with us at One Next Level Teaching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Peace.